Did you sacrifice for Pulsechain or Pulsex, or maybe you missed the sacrifice for Pulsechain and Pulsex, but you're interested in getting in on these projects and you're also interested in which might be more popular when it comes out? Well, instead of listening to conjecture, which is just somebody's opinion about which one is going to do better, wouldn't you think it could be better to look at actual data to see which one's doing better or which one could perform better when they come out? I put together different social metrics around which one's website is more popular based upon the number of traffic that's going to it, which one gets more YouTube search volume, which one gets more Google search volume, which one is more popular on Twitter in terms of gaining new followers, and which one has more followers, which one gets more views on YouTube, which one has more people producing content around it on YouTube, which Telegram is growing faster. So I put all those together so that we can get actual data instead of just conjecture. Conjecture is just opinion or thoughts. Let's give you the data. You can let me know what your thoughts are in the comments around this data so that we can get a better idea of what might be coming in the future. So with that being said, if this is your first time here, what's good? My name is Sam, and for those of you who are returning, it is good to frickin' see you. Which project are you more excited about? Because I'm going to use Pulsex. The testnet is out there, right? This is going to be very interesting because you can go back and forth, but you can also trade between, Ethereum and Pulsechain. And why somebody might do that? There could be people who are legacy in terms of they think of Pulse chain as something that's new and more risky. Right? So Ethereum is the proven, right? Ethereum is like the blue chip of crypto. So somebody who has a substantial amount of wealth or most of their wealth in the legacy crypto is what you could call it, right? Ethereum or Bitcoin or something like that. They're not going to necessarily put all of what they have into the new project. So they might prefer to actually stay, right? So this could be very interesting because there's a lot of people who have a lot of money in Ethereum who may want to stay in Ethereum, right? Because it's the thing that's been proven, right? Where Pulsechain hasn't been proven yet. So they may not want to migrate everything over. Having that bridge could make this very, very valuable if it gives them another option to trade in a way or move things around in a cheaper way or take advantage of different opportunities. But that's my conjecture on this. But let's get into the data. So I'll show you some of the stuff we did. We took the number of followers on Twitter, but when you pull it up on this website, it's called Social Blade, you get to actually see the number of new followers they've gained on average per day. So we did that for both accounts. We took the total number of members in the Telegram group. We took the search term, say Pulsechain in this case, Pulsechain crypto, just to weed out any crap or like noise that comes up in the search on Google. And then we did over the last 24 hours to see which people are actually putting out content, right? Because to put out videos requires effort, right? And if you have a lot more people putting out effort in terms of building an audience, building a community, building a project, right, you would think that the people who have more people working on it are going to eventually grow bigger, right? So we did that for both. And then we also looked at just the search term by itself over the last 30 days. So you do the same thing, say Pulsechain, come down here, you do over the last month, and then we do the search by views. And we add up the views of the top 10 videos here to get an idea of what people are actually willing to watch, right? Because if you have a bunch of people putting out content, nobody's fucking watching, yeah, so maybe they can grow the community, right? But if nobody's really paying attention to it, it's much more challenging. So in this case, in order to be included in the total number of views, they had to say the word or like PLS or Pulsechain, or the logo had to be in the title or in the thumbnail for me to include it in there. So right here, Hedron effect will Hedron ruin Hex or pump it to the moon, right? There's nothing on here, so this video does not get included when I'm searching for this. Right? We took all of those and put them into a spreadsheet. Then we also took this site here. So this is Alexa.com. This is a Amazon web analytics company, and they rank different websites. And there's millions and millions of websites. So this is for Pulsechain. So we're going to get into the other data that I just mentioned first, but we'll take a look at this, and we'll take a look at this, and then we'll look at all these side by side in a spreadsheet. So Pulsechain globally is ranked 27,000th, right? Because this is, in my opinion, this data is way better than just conjecture, right? Like you have people be like, oh, what's going to be the price? Who's going to win between Pulsex or Pulsechain? Well, let's look at the actual data instead of just somebody's opinion on these things, right? To see what the macro consensus is around this. Globally, Pulsechain, their website, is ranked 27,000. Cool. Also, check this out. As of like the 18th, to about 10 days ago, we've seen an upward spike in traffic here. So this is interesting because if you look, for quite a while, it was kind of flat here. Well, it was like up just tiny little bit, peaked and flattened out, and then it even started to decline. So now we have this upward trend, and the slope of the line is similar to a portion over here, right? Maybe this is going to take over Pulsex in terms of the popularity, because that has not been the case. In the United States, their website for Pulsechain is ranked 26,000. So it's about the same in terms of popularity between global and in the United States, which isn't always the case when you look at Pulsex. So this is Pulsex.com. In the United States, it's 16,500. So we have, what is that, about 10,000, a little bit over 10,000 spots in terms of popularity. That's more popular globally. Pulsex is more popular globally. Interesting, right? But when you look at in the United States, 26,000 for Pulsechain versus 22,000 for Pulsex. So Pulsex is still more popular in the United States, at least their website, right? Relative to Pulsechain. But globally, Pulsex is far more popular than Pulsechain. This could be changing, and I've been tracking this data for about 3 weeks now, so I'll show you that in just a moment. But before we get into the tracked data, let's take a look at Google Trends. Google Trends, again, is one of those macro factors, right? They track the search volume for Google or YouTube. So Google search and YouTube search are the largest search engines in the world. So this is a lot of people who will punch it into those search engines to look for stuff, right? To do research, to gather more information. So this gives us an interest of these. And if we take a look here, Pulsechain is in blue, Pulsex is in red. Let me make sure you guys can actually see this above my head. Yes, that's perfect. Pulsex has been, winning or being ahead, has more interest, right? But then you see this dropping off here. This is on Google search volume over the last 12 months globally. We see it's coming down, and now it's starting to even out, or potentially, right? It looks like they're both trending back up, but the testnet for Pulsex did just come out. So this will be interesting, right? And this kind of goes with some of the other data we're going to look at in a moment. Let's take a look at YouTube search volume. Again, blue is Pulsechain, red is Pulsex. On YouTube, Pulsex is far more popular, right? This is search volume on YouTube across the last 12 months globally. And we get to see that Pulsex is far more popular, similar to the web search where we've seen a tapering down, but because Pulsex has been so much more popular on YouTube, it still hasn't crossed over that point, and it looks like this coming, data set that's about to come in is they're both going to skyrocket, and that probably includes the launch of Pulsex testnet. So this is kind of interesting. We didn't put this into the spreadsheet, but we have the other data in here. So what we got here is from the first line here is from 3/17, so this is about 10 days ago, and well, it was 10 days ago, and today, the 3/27. In gray is Pulsechain, and in white is Pulsex. Telegram group, Pulsex, Pulsechain wins. This one's interesting. This is the number of Twitter followers gained per day on average. Remember this site here where we took a look at Pulsex? They gained about 244. Look at this. They both have dropped the last 10 days. They both dropped in terms of the number of followers they're gaining, but it's still almost 2-to-1. Pulsex is gaining about twice as many new followers on Twitter as Pulsechain is. Interesting. The size, the magnitude of this is also about 2-to-1, but in the opposite direction. Because if we come back here, we see that Pulsechain launched, 8 months ago, 10 months ago, where Pulsex launched, 3.5, 4 months ago. At this point, 3 and 4 months ago, something, 3.5 months ago. So it's been able to accrue those new followers faster. So this is going to show us the growth rate, and this is the absolute numbers here. Pulsechain is far more popular when you go by the total number of followers. 75,000 to 37 and 76,000 to 39. But you get to see that they went up by, what is that, about 1,600 followers in the last 10 days versus Pulsex went up 2,000, right, followers in the last 10 days. So it's a decent, the pace of growth it may surpass it. I don't know. We'll see. We'll continue to track this probably once a week, so make sure you press that subscribe button. Now, these two I always find super interesting. So this first one here is the number of views. Remember when we went over here, we did the search volume here. We came over here the last 30 days and we did view count. We added up those 10 videos. So when we add them up, this is Pulsechain has seen a doubling in the number of views on YouTube. Remember, they had to have Pulsechain, PLS, or the logo in the title or thumbnail to be counted in here. And 10 days ago, they had 118,000 views on the top 10 videos. And now this is 248,000 views, more than doubling people watching information on Pulsechain. This doesn't give us any type of degree of the long tail, right? Long tail, if you think like statistically speaking, there's a fat tail that's associated with this, so the fat tail could be much fatter for Pulsechain than it is for Pulsex. However, it could be the exact opposite too, because when you look, Pulsex had more views, both 10 days ago and recently. However, this Pulsechain doubled the number of people who were watch their content on YouTube. This is not the specific channel associated with Pulsechain. Is an aggregate, right? Just of all the videos, people talking about it in the top 10. This still has more than what is Pulsechain. However, they decreased, and the same thing holds up in terms of the number of videos. 10 days ago, there was 36 videos made over the last 24 hours. So again, you come in here, you go over to the last day here, right? And we got video, we're putting in relevance. So this is how we filtered it. Day, video, and so this is the videos that were released with Pulsechain, but I put Pulsechain crypto just to try to weed out any other garbage. And what ends up happening is I count up the number of those same criteria as to have Pulse or Pulsex or the logo in the title or thumbnail. we had 36 videos created versus 26 videos created. Like you can think of like the community creating content, right? If one community is a lot louder than the other community, that community probably over time is going to grow. However, that has shifted. We went to 30 videos that were created over the last 24 hours with Pulsechain versus 24 for Pulsex. So the data has shifted. Like this wasn't like this recently, and it's also shifted when we take a look at their website. So remember this Alexa, right? This ranks their websites. So on the 15th, so this is 2 weeks ago roughly. Whoops. This is where we were at. Again, in gray is Pulsechain, in white is Pulsex. Same thing here for the United States. So we get to see across the board, Pulsex has just been more popular. But remember, Pulsex's sacrifice phase ended on the 25th of February. So there's going to be some residual to that. We get to see that for 2 weeks, or for a week roughly, they stayed the same in terms of their world ranking. Neither one of them moved that much. And just recently, as the news came out around the testnet 2B or whatever it's called, both of them have increased their websites globally in terms of popularity. Pulsechain increased by about 1,500 spots. Pulsex increased by less than 1,000. So this is also kind of like more confirmatory data in some of the other stuff that we were looking at. But the videos here, right? Pulsechain. The views, this is more bullish on Pulsechain. This is more bullish for Pulsex, right? Because you have Pulsex is growing about twice as fast. Telegram group is interesting, right? So let's get the delta on these real quick. Yeah, they grew. Also, the Telegram group is more bullish on Pulsex. So Telegram group goes to Pulsex, Twitter goes to Pulsex, YouTube I would say goes to Pulsechain, right? Because we've got a doubling in the views and we have more videos being produced. Now, when we go to their website, we kind of see the similar data here where Pulsechain's website is increasing at a faster rate. Remember, this stuff can change pretty quickly. In the United States, we see a drastic drop off for Pulsex, and then it's starting to pick back up. Right? It went from 16,000 to 29,000, and then back to 22,000. For Pulsechain, similar, 35,000 to 38, now down to 26, a giant, right? We've got a 12,000 increase. Is it going to surpass that? I don't know. It seems like that could be the case. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are down below. Nobody else is looking at any of this data like this, so if you enjoy it, or you enjoy this style, make sure you press that subscribe button and take a second to share it with somebody else and grow the community. Appreciate you guys. Talk to you soon. Oh, so if you want to check out some of my stuff, I'll have stuff down below. And I'm also on Telegram. Peace.